President Trump is hosting a dinner tonight for some finance bigwigs. J.P. Morgan's Jamie Dimon, BlackRock's Larry Fink, the NASDAQ CEO, David Friedman, all expected to be there. Okay, at the White House. No invite, apparently, for Flynn Zito's Doug Flynn, which is surprising, but he is always welcome here.
Thank you.
And the Rose Garden Club or wherever I don't know where they're having it, actually. But what, if you're Jamie Dimon, just say, for example, or Larry Fink, and you come in, what are you twisting the president's ear about? What do you think they're going to want to talk to Trump about? Obviously, you want to get access, get close. Everybody always talks about this. But if you're in finance right now, what's your issue?
So J.P. Morgan, Jamie Dimon, they had pledged like $1.5 trillion sort of to do some onshoring and some high-tech national security related manufacturing and defense, energy, infrastructure kind of thing. So I think this is part of that. It's more about they've got $10 billion ready to go. I think it's more about leveraging the private sector along with government to kind of do those things that Trump wants to do and coordinating that with some of those business leaders on that front. So I think that's what this is getting involved with private investment into those things that obviously will bring back a lot of those jobs and other related items, but also from a national security perspective. And of course, Jamie and related are in it to make money. So, that's part of this too, is bend his ear and figure out how to do that while putting this to work and get on the same side of the page. Yeah.
All right. Now, in the stock market, it's interesting because the market, we've been talking for months now about how the market's been doing better maybe than the overall economy and like how people who are in the market are doing well. A lot of that's been driven by these AI stocks. Anything like anywhere related to AI, but especially like NVIDIA, of course, has been driving things. So as the Wall Street Journal points out in its column this morning, that it was in the paper this morning, the AI boom's looking more and more fragile. And it's interesting because if you think about it, that's been the story of the last week or two. I know the shutdown is one thing that, they'll probably end that. Maybe the market's up. But still, tech's losing a little bit. I have a chart of NVIDIA in front of me. It's up and down and all over the place. And these stocks are going to be more volatile than the average bear anyway.
That's right.
Meta, Palantir has been really getting a lot of attention because of its close government relationships. But what about this? That I guess some of this would be inevitable. What goes up has to come down a little.
Yes, you do see some of that. Meta's off more than 20%. NVIDIA's off maybe 10% from its all-time high. But, this is a part of, I think, the classic cycle of what happens. You're still in sort of the breakthrough to sort of hype stage where everyone wants to get in.
Yeah.
But if you look at it historically, what typically follows, disillusionment is the next stage. And that's typically when people start to, you don't see the profits come in. OpenAI is a classic example. They've committed $1.4 trillion of investment. They've got $20 billion of revenue. So they're going to need hundreds of billions of dollars of revenue to support that investment they claim they're going to make. So if some of these things don't happen, that's where disillusionment comes in. And then people start to maybe sell and move out away from some of these securities. And it's only after that, when the bottom falls out, if you will, where you get the next stage and people start to come back in. And that's when you maybe have a more profitable kind of situation because you're going to weed out some of the losers and all this stuff works its way out. So where are we in the process? It might be the very early stages of disillusionment, sort of after that initial part. And that's where we likely are in the cycle. So, how much more is there upside?
It's like,
Yes.
but like we always say with AI, how it's moving so much faster than the internet when it came in. Is that cycle? Will this move faster? Do you think as well, moving through this cycle to get to where we need to be?
I think it can, and the difference I think between the internet and this is that this does take billions and trillions of dollars to make work, where anybody 30 years ago could have set up a website
because all the data centers, all the energy that goes into it.
So I think it could be a little quicker, though, just because the adoption and how much people are into it. But at the end of the day, investments are investments, and if they're not going to be profitable and it isn't going to happen, there's going to be winners and losers, and which ones they are, we don't actually know. And that's when you pick up everything off of the trash heap down and see who the winners are, and that's where things sort of start to normalize when you get back to a more mature type of.
But it'd be hard to imagine like NVIDIA not being a winner long term, right? Is that fair, or not, given what's happened?
I think it is fair. I think, but it's already off its $5 trillion market cap. It's still the largest company, but is it going to go to 10 trillion? I don't know. Perhaps there will be other companies that also we don't even aren't here yet that are going to take a much bigger part of this and maybe have higher upside from here, because to get 100% return is going to take this thing to a $9-10 trillion company. There's other companies that have a much greater chance of making 100% from here. So it's not about it going badly. It's just from here are there better opportunities in other places.
Yep, hearing a lot about valuations now for that company and others. Thank you, Doug. Doug Flynn with us at 4 p.m.